Have you ever noticed that you can make it through a 2-hour dance class no problem, but then when it comes to showtime, that 4-minute routine gets you completely winded? Then this video's for you, so keep on watching. Hi everyone, my name is Nanadra Deanna, and I am dedicated to performing artists and athletes looking to get the best out of life. Now, as the title suggests, we are talking about stamina today and endurance training. Now, I know most dancers don't really think about endurance training or training in general outside of the dance studio. We have our technique classes and maybe one Pilates or cardio class a week, and we really think that's enough. And for the longest time, we really thought it was enough. But more and more, we're starting to see a shift in the dance community, and the focus on training outside of the studio is becoming more popular. Especially after taking some time off for, let's say, an injury or illness or an extended break. We want to make sure that our bodies are ready to be back and we're not gasping for air as we limp out of our first class. Because as much as we don't think about it, it is a lot of exercise. So there are 3 main components to making sure that you have good stamina: muscular power, muscular endurance, and cardiorespiratory endurance. Muscular power is what you need to make sure that you can do the big jumps, like the jetés and the tours en l'air. Muscular endurance is what you need to make sure you can hold certain positions, like having your leg over 90 degrees for those 16 counts. But what we're going to focus on today is cardiorespiratory endurance, which taps into our aerobic system, or our oxygen-using system. But wait, doesn't everything use oxygen? Yes and no. When it comes to muscle fibers and energy use, there are 2 systems, the anaerobic system and the aerobic system. Anaerobic, anaerobe, without air, doesn't use oxygen. And that's mainly used for activities lasting less than 90 seconds because oxygen exchange doesn't happen that fast. And then we have our aerobic system, our air system, which are usually less intense activities to allow the proper exchange of air between our muscles and our blood. Now, when you look at professional and pre-professional dancers, in the regular season, they're usually dancing around 11 to 20 hours a week. And you think that would be enough. But there was actually a study done back in 2010 that looked at the oxygen consumption capacity of dancers of various styles and saw that they were only using about 50% of their total oxygen consumption capacity during technique classes throughout the year. But then when it gets to performance time, that number can boost up to 80%. Which means there's a 30% gap between the amount of oxygen that you're using regularly in class and the amount of oxygen that you need to actually make it through that performance, which is why you get winded after that 4-minute piece. But I haven't hit my max yet, so I should be fine, you would think, but there's another factor that comes into play, which is your ventilatory threshold. And this measures the speed at which you're doing actual oxygen exchange. You want the amount of oxygen that's going into your muscles to be replaced as soon as it's used up, or else you enter into metabolic acidosis. And that's just a fancy phrase to mean that energy is being used to contract your muscles and lactic acid is building up. And that, plus hydrogen, are what causes your muscles to be fatigued and sore the next day. Now, there are 2 ventilatory thresholds that we need to think about. First, we have the threshold that breaks the non-aerobic to aerobic. Non-aerobic are the things that are well below our oxygen consumption maximum. Things that are easy for us to do and our heart is beating at a regular rhythm. This can be the things like living our everyday lives or even warm-up class. Now we've passed that first threshold and we're into our aerobic phase. So things that are lasting longer than 90 seconds and maybe takes a little bit more effort for us to do. So our heart is pumping a little bit faster to get oxygen to our muscles quicker. In that window, that's usually where class is. Think center work, allegro, and maybe rehearsals. Now we want to stay within this window because that's where oxygen exchange is happening at a rate our body can handle. We don't want to hit that second ventilatory threshold because that's when we move into the anaerobic phase, where we get that metabolic acidosis and lactic acid building up and the soreness and fatigue. Depending on your dance style or even the routine itself, you're more or less likely to be hitting near that second ventilatory threshold or even past it. And if you're hitting past it, that means your stamina needs to be built up that much more. Well, if that's the cap, what am I supposed to do? Don't worry, this can be trained. So looking at that 2010 study again, they found that they could improve a dancer's oxygen consumption maximum and extend their ventilatory threshold with HIIT training, high intensity interval training. It was added to their schedule, and after a bout of 12 to 16 weeks, they saw significant improvements in strength, flexibility, and endurance. The key here is regular training. Like I said, it took 12 to 16 weeks to see those changes. Having regular rehearsals the week before performance isn't enough time to create those adaptations to see long-term benefits. That and making sure you have adequate rest time between bouts of exercise and classes. Regular training, not overtraining. Because overtraining and not having enough rest time has actually been related to increased muscle soreness and dancers being more prone to injury. And before I forget, make sure you have a steady incline as you increase your exercise throughout the week, because you don't want to push yourself too hard and then get injured. Boy, I got really excited about this one, didn't I? One last thing I'll mention, there are a couple supplements that you can use to help improve your lung capacity as you're training and building your stamina. Antioxidants like vitamin C and quercetin help with improving your lung capacity, and really just picking anything that improves oxygen exchange, like having iron. So make sure you have enough of that in your diet. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please share in the comments, how are you maintaining your stamina throughout this time? Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.